Welcome, everybody, to this fantastic Tuesday afternoon. We are going to be talking to you today about how to earn more revenue in your affiliate business with a couple of proven tactics, which my guests are going to be sharing with you shortly. So if you're joining us live, it is a pleasure to have you here with us for this week's webinar, who are joining, and the guests who are joining us shortly, which I'll introduce you to. But just as we get going, can you guys, if you have been waiting and joining us live, can you give me a thumbs up or a wave in the chat feature just to let us know that you can hear us properly and see us properly before we get started? If you haven't ever joined one of our webinars before, my name's Leanne Johnston, and I'm going to be your host today. And I'm going to introduce the wonderful guests that I've got with me here shortly as we're waiting for everybody to come on into the live webinar as we're streaming. So if you're in the chat, give us a heart, a wave, a chat, a high five, so I can see you and hear you and know that you're here with us. And we'll shortly get started. So a little bit of housekeeping before we kick off this awesome webinar that we've got planned for you guys today. If things look strange on your screen, if we are kind of like frozen in motion, just press refresh on your browser. We'll come straight back into the live stream with you, either on LinkedIn or YouTube, which is where we are streaming live simultaneously. If you are joining us, please come on over to the YouTube channel, because that is where you're going to be able to give us questions, where you're going to be able to show us a wave, where we're going to get you to do thumbs up or vote on some of the polls and questions that we're going to be asking you throughout the day. We are also would love you to subscribe to the channel as well. So if you're on our YouTube channel, hit subscribe. You'll always be notified whenever we bring awesome guests like we're bringing you today into a live webinar, and you can come and communicate with us and ask us questions, because we are here to help all of you. So as we get started, let's get focused. Let's turn off any distractions. We're going to kind of take you on a journey for the next 45 minutes or so. We're going to show you how to make more money in your affiliate business, and we're going to probably tell you that you might be leaving some money on the table if you're not doing some of these things that these wonderful guests are going to share with you today. So put all of your questions into the YouTube chat. I've got that here next to me. So if you're watching us on the live stream on LinkedIn and you just want to lurk, that's okay. You can lurk there and listen to us. But if you want to ask live questions, you need to come on over to the YouTube channel, because that is where we will be engaging with you guys for the next half of this session. So without any further ado, I can see some people are joining us, which is awesome. So we are going to ask all of you to say hi to all of us, and you can do that through the chat. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what kind of affiliate business you're running, what your biggest business struggle is right now, and we'll hopefully try and answer some of these questions for you as we go through this wonderful webinar that we've prepared. So just a quick reminder for everybody joining us, head on over to Affiverse YouTube channel if you want to ask questions, because that's where we will be taking Q&A today. So without any further ado, and because my lovely guests have been super patient, I'm going to hand this webinar over to Cornelius Frey, who is the CEO of Nucleus Links and our sponsor for today. Cornelius, over to you to introduce the rest of your guests.
Thank you so much, Leanne. Thank you for the invitation. Very fortunate to have with us today two leading operators from the affiliate space, running two very, very different properties. Kiki Reginato from Vox Media, and Michael Brandy from VoucherCodes, part of the wider Retail Me Not and Ziff Davis ecosystem. I'll say a few words about myself, but Kiki and Michael, why don't you introduce yourselves briefly to the audience right away?
Sure, I guess I'll go first. Hi, I'm Kiki Reginato. As they mentioned, I'm the VP of eCommerce over at Vox Media. So our team runs the data analytics, reporting, and product strategy for our brands under the umbrella, which are The Strategist, Verge, Pop Sugar, The Cut, and many others. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kiki. And my name's Mike Brandy. I am the VP of Commercial at VoucherCodes, which, as Cornelius mentioned there, is part of the wider Ziff Davis group. I've been in the business for around 2.5 years, and one of the focuses for us is obviously ensuring that we have a strong working relationship with our retailers, and also just ensuring that we are generating revenue. So hopefully there are a number of useful tips that we can share today.
Thank you, Michael. And I'm Cornelius Frey, CEO of Nucleus Links, where we work with plenty of publishers, leading buy now, pay later platforms, Microsoft, Ziff Davis, and a whole bunch of others to bring their highly manual affiliate operations from the past into a fully automated future. And Leanne, as you mentioned, just help publishers make more money by automating yield management with AI. And we're very, very fortunate to be working closely with both you, Kiki, and you, Michael, on a daily basis, and are happy and proud to be doing so. For today's session, Leanne, you already promised proven tactics. And I think what's fascinating about our setup here is, again, the fact that we have such different operating worlds. So I think most of the questions we've got here, whether they are on high-level strategy or absolutely hands-on tactics, we'll be putting out to both you, Kiki, and you, Michael, to hear from the different realities that you face on a daily basis. And I'd love to start us out on the elephant in the room, if you will, the one question that's both loudly and silently there in every conversation we're having with our partner universe at the moment, which is whether you call it the traffic apocalypse or Google Zero, or actually all fine here, no problems at all. And my question to you guys would be, to the extent that you're comfortable sharing, it's just the four of us for now, what have you experienced in your traffic patterns? How has the ascent of LLMs, of Google Answers, and the change of the traffic acquisition landscape changed the way your users, your audiences are finding you? Kiki,
Yeah,
you want to start with that?
I'll start. I mean, I do think that everyone who is saying that they've seen no impact to their traffic is probably lying to you, or obscuring the truth. Yeah, I mean, we have definitely seen, everyone knew this was coming, right? Like, we all had heard about it for a very long time. We had been investing in a loyalty strategy for a while before that. So we've really ramped that up. That is how we plan on making up for these traffic declines. And yeah, we've had to pivot a lot, but it's, in some ways it's been, I think, a bit more editorially interesting for some folks, because you're not just chasing Google traffic the way that you once were. So, we've changed up our editorial strategy. We've changed up our distribution strategy. I mean, everything has changed. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it.
Would love to follow up on that in a second. But first, Michael, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that our businesses are slightly different from Kiki's business and the world they're operating in. I think for us, we still see that Google is dominating search, still a dominant player. However, we do see nuances between, for example, the US and UK. So in the US, there's been a lower uptake of AI in comparison to AI overviews becoming a real feature in the UK marketplace, for example. So to bring that specifically to what we're doing at VoucherCodes, we are expecting Google to start implementing, including more AI mode features in the main search results. And what we do is we focus on optimizing to show up in those AIOs, as we call them. So the AI overviews on there. A lot of that is down to how we position ourselves as a business. So a trusted source for money saving, optimize our content to ensure that we're appearing in the best places within that as well. So yes, it's an undeniable rise of AI, but at the same time, we're still seeing some things that are relatively the same from our perspective.
I got to say, I'm kind of like on the fence with both of you, because we obviously manage a lot of programs. We work with a lot of publishers. A lot of the SEO affiliate, like SEO strong affiliates that I've been talking to, they are definitely seeing a decline in traffic from search. And I think the reason for that is because the funnel is broken. So there is no one place to start your search journey for a product, a brand, a service, whatever it is that you're looking for online. So I think it's becoming more complex for publishers to actually really truly understand where their traffic is coming from and how to actually double down on that and monetize that, which is kind of why we're here today. And I'm really excited to dig into all of those points. But I think search is still dominant, but I don't feel, and talking to publishers, multiple events throughout this year, I don't feel it's going to continue to be dominant. And I think search as a whole isn't just related to Google. It's now across all of these other entry points like TikTok, Instagram, Meta, all of these other places where traffic and communities are being built. Telegram is another, channel that people are starting to search for in various groups and communities that they're added into. And I think, Michael, you've touched on a really good point that publishers now need to actually think about a broader spectrum of how to bring customers in to their platform or service or products that they're curating for consumers to use, and also really start to think about what is that user journey for their consumers as well.
So jumping on that point, that user journey, Kiki, you mentioned the importance of loyalty, which sort of focus on direct audience relationships. We spoke about LLM as a traffic acquisition channel. Do you all have a specific LLM strategy? Do you think about how your content plays out on the LLMs, how you're seen there, how you acquire traffic? Or are you really just saying, we focus on our content and that audience is going to find us? What does a possible LLM strategy look like on both your sides?
Kiki?
Yeah, I mean, we have, we've talked about links in LLMs and trying to, boost our links and get more links in there. We've used things like Scale Post and to track all this. And to be totally honest, we're not seeing, I think it's a lot of effort for not a lot of traffic. So occasionally we'll see a big traffic spike, but honestly, it does not seem worth our time.
I mean, that's fascinating because everybody's talking about it as the next thing. That puts you in a technical question. Have we not cracked it yet? Or do we say this isn't worth our while? Let's focus on what we do best on our own and operated. How do you allocate resources based on it not quite being worth your while yet or ever?
Yeah, I mean, we have very limited resources, as I'm sure everyone here does, but and I don't really we don't see anything meaningful coming from it. So I don't want to spin my wheels spending a lot of time on it. It's how
no wheels being spun at Vox. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, so I mean, our primary driver as a business, as a proposition, really is about market leading, preferably exclusive content, which we can go to market with. So if we are fulfilling our core mission and our core ambition as a business, then we will remain and continue to remain relevant for our customers and our customer base. And they will be able to interact with us. Leanne, touching on your point earlier about the many different ways that you will interact with a brand, it's important to ensure that you are available to your customers across those different spectrums, right? So different demographics, different age groups are going to interact with your site in different ways, and you want to make sure that you have that availability for those customers so that they feel comfortable in their environment and you're kind of meeting them halfway. So some of that is going to be around, AI and ensuring that you have your presence there, but there's also Instagram, TikTok, where some users will prefer to interact there. You're going to have an app, for example, and still desktop as well is still going to be a big driver of traffic. So all of these are big factors, and loyalty programs as well, which I know Kiki touched on. I don't know if we're going to come to that, but that's another important facet of your overall solution.
I do think it depends on where you are in the funnel, because for some publishers, it might not be very important to be at the top when people are still busy trying to figure out what products or services they want. And for other publishers, it might be super important to be getting their brand or their website listed in those LLM searches of places to go to find XYZ. So I think it depends on the type of publisher that you are, whether that LLM search mechanic is going to become more important for you. And on the flip side as well, also for an advertiser, like, you know, you need to have a strategy working with different types of publishers in your program. So which publishers do you need to actually enhance right now and work with more closely in order to meet the KPI targets that you have? And I think that's really important for publishers to understand from the brands that they're working with, is what does the brand actually need me to do for them? What do you need me to do for you today? And then kind of like partner and create campaigns and things that actually deliver on those KPIs.
Jumping on that one, what do we need to do for our partners, for our audience? Kiki, you touched on some pivots that you've been making, and Mike, you called it your core mission of being useful to the audience. In these past 12 to 24 months that have changed so much about the commercial underpinning and outlook on the web, how and what has changed about the types of content that work best for you in terms of audience resonance, and what clicks, what converts, what makes you money? How has your content strategy been adapted in actual day-to-day impact? Mike, have you seen changes?
Yeah, I have. I think obviously, you know, don't like to talk too much about COVID because obviously that was a period in time, right? But if you just look at the general behaviors of consumers, there has been a big shift overall. So I was recently at an event and they were saying that, for example, travel is at its peak, right? It's at the biggest it's pretty much ever been in terms of online sales, which are now being generated. And a lot of that comes down to people wanting experiences. If you had an experience of being locked away in your home for a long period of time, we've now come out of the other side of that, and you start to see people really wanting to have those experiences. So not just travel, but concerts or events become much bigger propositions than they were prior to that period. Another example of that would be if you look at just the general economics globally, and you think to yourself around inflation and how that impacts people's food. You know, you may see that if, for example, we have more deals on grocery products, they're going to do a lot better because people are looking at where they can save money in order for them to be able to spend that money on the things they enjoy, i.e. travel and those kind of events. So there's definitely been a shift in consumer behavior, you know, going beyond just the 18 to 24 months, but it's a trend that we see as quite consistent.
Kiki, tell us more about the experiments and the pivots on the content side that you've been experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there was a lot of content that we were, you know, we had to keep up to date. We had to just kind of do this basic maintenance. I'm talking about, like, you know, the best toothbrushes, for example, those kinds of pieces of content, though still a very important part of our content strategy. They are not as important as they once were. And I think that this gives editorial a bit more freedom to do things that they're a bit more excited about than they were in the past, because those types of pieces of content are the ones that bring in a more loyal audience. So
do you have some examples of content types and pieces that excite both the editorial team and you?
Yeah, we did like a whole jeans week on The Strategist, for example, and that was a big hit. We did, and it was everything you'd ever want to know about jeans, basically. And then we also recently did a plastic-free cooking kitchen week, which was all about, you know, how to get plastic out of your kitchen, and is it actually as bad for you as you think it is, and how many people threw away all their spatulas and things like that. And yeah, that honestly was like one of the biggest kind of breakthroughs for us in our new strategy.
Where do the best ideas come from in your team? Do you come up with them on the commercial side? Does editorial come up with them? Do you sit in joint brainstormings? Very practically speaking, how do you come up with the plastic-free week?
I mean, I am very lucky to work with a lot of very brilliant editorial teams. I think that they come up with the brilliant ideas and we make them make money is basically how I think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of making money, both of you touched on the importance of loyalty with your audiences. And I know from our collaboration, Kiki, newsletters play a big role for you there. Mike, I know on your side, you've implemented a whole new loyalty program on the VoucherCode side. Can you tell us from a really tactical perspective, what does loyalty mean from a product and user experience standpoint on a day-to-day basis? How do you put the great idea, the grand idea of loyalty? Everybody wants a loyal audience. How does that get translated into product and into action?
Yeah. I would say looking at that overall is really trying to understand what you want to achieve by having a loyalty program. You really need to think about what is your end goal here. So if I look at what we like to consider within our business, we very much think about user experience and user interaction with our website. And what's the mindset of that user? Well, we know that our customers need to shop for certain items and they need to do that on a continual basis. So how can we help our customers to save money? That's fundamentally what we exist for, right? It's to save our customers money. So if they're thinking about buying items online, how can we ensure that we become part of that journey by offering them something or an incentive to make that purchase, which is great, obviously, for the brands themselves. It helps to maybe get an undecided user over the line, but also we can become part of that experience. So ensuring that the customer is informed about what they're purchasing, does know if it's, for example, an ethical brand, if they want those kind of products and so on and so forth. They know that those are available by leveraging our site. So there's lots of different things, but I think the first part you need to start with is the why. Why would you go down the route of a loyalty program? What are you trying to achieve by doing that?
And once you've got the why firmly established, as you outlined, sort of, the clarity of the benefit to the user, what tools come in on the VoucherCode side to manifest that loyalty?
So for us, we tend to do two shops is one of our mechanisms that we leverage, and then we can give something back from that perspective. Just in terms of when you say tools, I mean, there are sort of various different tools that we will leverage to make sure that we're getting the best pricing points, not only for our customers, but of course for ourselves as a business as well. We leverage Nucleus links, for example, to help us and support us to try and make sure that we're getting the right price points across the thousands of merchants that we work with. So it's just that optimization to make sure that we're hitting the right points for our customers.
Let's get to that broader value in a minute. Are there any ways of capturing personalization, retargeting, capturing, user data points in a CRM and a newsletter strategy? What sort of aids specifically towards the point of reaching and re-engaging audiences are in use on your side?
Yeah, so you really need to, again, understand more about the profile of the consumer that you're after. So we're very much in touch with our core audiences here. And what we want to do is we want to ensure that we're putting relevant content in front of them. So the more data that you're able to gather via having that loyalty program enables you to ensure that you're reaching out to them with relevant offers. So it's 2025, right? People don't want to have information put in front of them that is of no interest to them. We all have very short attention spans in this day and age. So you have their attention on your brand for a very limited period of time. So gathering that data to enable you to be able to unlock relevant brands for them is really important.
I feel like what Kiki said earlier as well about, some of their best content wasn't transactional content. We can ask ChatGPT now what are the top 3, toothbrushes that are bought online. What we want to know is, how do those toothbrushes impact our children's teeth, for example, or, whatever the case may be. So I kind of feel like the transactional content creation of this is the product, this is what the product does, this is, how much the product is. Customers want more, and then they are demanding more from publishers to actually fill the gaps on either the knowledge or the know-how or the context of how these products and services are being used.
Absolutely. Kiki, knowing how important the newsletter strategy is, what's helping you execute on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for newsletters is getting signups. That is the hardest part. And then retaining and not abusing your lists. There are so many publishers that you hear about that have millions of people on their newsletter list. But when you dig into those who's actually active, there's very few people that are active on those lists because they've sent a million spammy emails to them. So I think that is the biggest thing, is just to send people actually engaging content and not to overly spam them. And yeah,
is that a nature of editorial judgment, of personalization, of data analysis? What helps you actually execute on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's we watch our unsubscribe rates like hawks. We do not let it get over a certain amount. We are if we see people are disengaging, we try to re-engage people with a different campaign. We've just started a new campaign where for some of these more informational articles, like are plastic spoons bad for you, etc., we will gate that content. So put it behind a registration wall, because it's not necessarily making us a lot of affiliate revenue, but it is driving a lot of engagement. So we'll gate that article. So a user has to put in their email address before they can read. And for those users, we actually opt them into a send that only happens like once or twice a week. And if they engage a certain amount, we opt them up into more engagement. So we kind of default to lower engagement and then bring people up. We also have a lot of like cohorting and personalization in our email acquisition strategy, so that we're making sure that the right kinds of users are landing on the right kinds of email lists. And if they're not landing on those lists, we try to course correct and get them on a different list. So yeah, that is a big crux of our strategy, because we find that folks who come back 3 times a month and, or more are 27 times more valuable than a user who comes from search once.
Yeah. I think that's a really, really interesting tactic. I just want to chip in and just get some audience engagement, because we've got people online that are listening to us. If you guys are here with us live on LinkedIn and you want to ask these wonderful people questions, head on over to the YouTube chat, because I've got that live with us now, and we can actually take questions from you. There's about 22 people that are with us there on that channel. We also, something that's also really important is if you scan the QR code that's up on your screen right now, you can actually get a free trial to Nucleus links to help you with your tracking. We're going to get into some of those tactical things that will help you to increase your revenue as a publisher as well. But I think, Kiki, I want to actually just throw a question out to the audience now that's listening to us. How many of you that are publishers actually spend time and effort focusing on your newsletter subscriber base, or do you currently still just focus on getting traffic to your site? I think that's a really interesting question to sort of segue into if you guys are with us. So give us a thumbs up if you've got a newsletter, just so we can see how many of you are actually focusing on this really important topic that Kiki's just raised. Okay, we got some thumbs up here, so that's good.
Some thumbs coming in. Kiki, I think that was a great segue from the grand strategy, where we learned from you things like don't spin every wheel just because it has AI written on it, to the absolute primacy of staying relevant to the audience. And of course, the fact that staying relevant to the audience is a changing game in the age of LLMs. And what you have to pass to them as value add is also rapidly changing, down towards the hands-on proven tactics. And Michael, you briefly touched on it. What, for both of you, what is the affiliate tech tool stack that you couldn't and wouldn't want to operate without? What are some of the tools you can recommend to the audience that anybody should be trying out? Let's hear the top 2 or 3 from both the coupon voucher side, on the voucher code side, and Kiki, from you on the Vox side.
Sure.
Mike, wanna kick us off?
Yeah, sure. I think, started to touch on it earlier. I think, we do work with Nucleus, and there's a number of different benefits for us for doing so. So for context, as a site, we have thousands of different retailers who we work with. And some of those we will work with having a dedicated account manager on them, but it's impossible to be able to do that at scale across everything. So there are instances where we want to make sure that we are sort of maximizing our CPA rates or our return on investment for having those partners live on the site. And Nucleus enables us to be able to do that by adding that scale and saying to us, actually, there may be a better price point that you can get for this particular retailer. So that's really important to us. Helps us to ensure that we are sort of paid the correct amount, or rightly, for the activity that we're providing for those partners. So that would definitely be one. I think the other one is tracking. So for me, obviously, we are an online business. Tracking is absolutely fundamental to what we do. There has been a lot of shifts and changing circumstances within tracking over the years. And so being able to keep up with that, ensuring that, for example, cookie messages aren't interfering with your tracking links and so on and so forth, is really important. So we also use other tools such as Moonpool as well to be able to understand, for example, is a cookie message interfering with that tracking? And do we need to obviously have some conversations with retailers about that? So they're 2 that I would call out, because I think they're kind of fundamental parts of what we're trying to do as a business.
Great. Thanks for the shout out there. Actually, on the tracking side, Michael, couldn't agree more. And I think it's fair to say that even some of the absolutely leading players in the affiliate publishing space and the commerce publishing space themselves would say they're still flying more blindly than they would like. And it's great to see players like you really changing that. We actually just went live with an all transactions reporting tool with NBC, one of the first clients live on it, which allows publishers to drill down their analytics, not just by page, by content, by author, by region, but even down to the individual click level, something fairly new in the marketplace. So for the audience, if you want to take a sneak peek, check out that QR code. We're very happy to show it. And for context, what Mike mentioned, the yield optimization is a very powerful tool, right? That we strongly believe no publisher should be doing without, especially in that long tail where you just don't have the resources to optimize every click. Nucleus Links uses an AI to optimize for every single click, which is the highest yielding network that click should be going through. And yeah, I think we're very proud with not name numbers for any partners on this call, but 40% plus revenue uplift is something we're happy to bring to the marketplace. Kiki, what's your tool stack?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo a lot of Mike's same points. If you don't have good tracking, that would be very difficult in this day and age, as how you're actually making money is so different than where your traffic is coming from. That is, when I joined Vox Media, it was 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And none of these tracking tools existed. Obviously, Nucleus Links didn't exist. And people like Trackonomics didn't exist. So we built our own in-house tracking. So we've had these systems live for a really long time. I came from a company called Future and basically brought a lot of my knowledge from that role over to Vox. And yeah, it's so important to know that like even you're generating so much traffic from your Facebook campaigns, but they actually don't turn into revenue. So that is of key importance. We built all that stuff in-house just because we had to, because there was no solution at the time. So that that as Nucleus knows from having to work around our in-house grown system and our integration, we like kind of unfortunately had to build it all ourselves. But now there are a lot of great partners out there that you can work with. I would also say Wonderkind, they are an email, they're an email targeting platform. They have been huge for us. We've worked with them for years. We've, tried every single one of their campaigns under the sun. We definitely could not, we could not work without them. And then I think it really depends on your business. There are so many folks out there doing really great stuff. I think that if you have a really social dependent business, you would be shocked by how much money you're losing just from links breaking. So folks like Button and Genius Link, Link Genius are also great. And then of course, we obviously use Nucleus links, and we are, we were talking about building something like this for years. Like, I think it was one of the first things that I talked about when I joined Vox, but it was just way above what we could feasibly do. And now that there are so many CPC networks out there and attribution networks, and this space is just getting so much more complicated, kind of in a good way, because as you're losing traffic, there's more monetization options out there. But you can make up for a lot with better monetization. But it's great to have those kind of partners and being able to automate payment, basically.
Awesome. Just got a quick question coming in here from the audience, and I want to just engage with them a little bit. When do you need to start putting all of these types of tools in place? Because obviously there's costs associated with this. And guys, if you are listening and you are a publisher, go and scan that QR code, because you're going to get Nucleus links and the analytics dashboard for free. So it's really, there's really no excuse to get yourself organized. But do you have to be a massive publisher with millions of impressions in order to actually start to get these tools in place? Like, how practical is it? And when should publishers with websites or social, channels, when should they be looking at all of this and implementing?
I think that's a really good question. I think my honest opinion on this is there's never a sooner time to ensure that your tracking is working well. I think from the very first steps that you take, it will be one of the core underpinning parts of your business. So ensuring that everything is working and you're comfortable with that, because for example, you may think that you've done 5 sales, but actually you've done 10. Well, you're leaving money on the table there. There's an opportunity to increase that, which then in turn means that you can provide better placements or do more activity with those retailers. And again, when thinking about Nucleus, there is no better opportunity than to try and maximize your return on investment. So you're investing that time to ensure that you've got the right content, that it's an engaging site. You've gone through the hassle of getting your loyalty program up and running, if that's the case. Everything needs to work. It needs to be optimized. And that is something that needs to work from the very beginning, in my opinion.
Just a good question on that. Both of you have said, well, that loyalty and retaining customers is far more valuable. I think, Kiki, you said something like, a customer that comes to you 3 times is 27 times more valuable to you than somebody who comes from search. What tools are you putting in place to build these loyalty programs?
Yeah. So, I mean, in order to get that piece of data, that required us to build an in-house solution.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so what you're doing is you're sending through a session number to, if we want to get really technical, you're sending through a session number and through a click ID. So that is, so if you want to get data like that, you essentially need to pass through a click ID. You can do it yourself, or which is, as a person who did this themselves, it is a lot of work. You need to have the people who can like maintain BigQuery and join all this data together. So that is the hard part there. But to get, but there are also vendors out there who can do this for you. I believe Nucleus Links is one of them. So yeah,
check it out, guys. Michael, what about you?
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so I totally agree with that. We've also got an in-house solution which we've built over time. But when you're looking at the mechanisms, for example, for our loyalty program, it's shop twice, earn £5. So you need to ensure that you're able to track exactly what's going on there. But also not just have your core proposition, you also need to have engagement within that experience as well. So we try and push out a steady flow of engaging, insightful content within that. We have games as well. And again, you can use platforms which can provide you with that kind of content. So, there's fun games people can play while they're shopping, or, maybe quizzes. And when they're in there, they can get exclusive customer content from retailers. So it all fundamentally comes from that sort of internal tracking and making sure that you have the data. But to Kiki's point, there are vendors which can provide that as well.
I just want to echo Michael on that point. It really does depend on the size. I think in this day and age, no publisher can afford to still manually keep doing repetitive tasks day in, day out, when they could be spending time, doing what they do best, the core mission, Mike, as you called it earlier, of providing the best loyalty-inducing content. And also nobody at no scale can you afford to keep losing money and revenue on every click by having the path, the yield optimization under-optimized. That said, something that's, I think, been shifting in the entire publisher landscape, there really is no shame anymore for publishers of any reputation or size to say, we just do not have available free budgets anymore to plug against certain tech projects with uncertain outcomes. I think that's the readiness to just say, this will cost us 10K or 100K, and we really hope for the best. Those budgets have rapidly gone away, and there's no shame in saying so. So we've responded to that on the Nucleus side by just saying we're so certain that we can provide that uplift. We've done away with fixed upfront fees and just say only if and when we provide that uplift driven by our yield optimization and the data analysis platform, only then do we say, well, we will take a fair share of the new revenue generated. But that's definitely something that publishers around the world, across the types of content and vertical, are telling us they ain't unlimited free money for fun and games, uncertain experiments. That said, you two and your teams have been striking us as particularly, agile, nimble, smart, and experimentative publishers and operators. What are some of the experiments that you've been launching and tinkering with in the last 6 months? What are things with uncertain outcomes that are new, that you've tried, that not everybody will have tried out? Share a little bit from your journey of the year so far.
I can go first. Yeah, I'll go. No,
absolutely, Mike. And don't hold back. Failed experiments are a badge of honor. So not everything needs to be a.
Have many scars.
Give us the good stuff.
many scars, I assure you. Yeah, I mean, we've been playing around with things in our app, for example, which I wouldn't call these failed experiments. Actually, I think they've been really successful. We've introduced things like app stories, which work really well as content in our app. It's quite engaging. It's a great format. It's a format that our customers are very used to from a social aspect as well. So that's something that we're really proud of and has worked really well. We've also just recently launched insurance products on our site as well. So getting quotes from us, right? If our ambition is to save our customers money at every point in the journey, we should have insurance products available for our customers as well. So, we're not limiting ourselves in terms of what our proposition should be. If we, coming back to that core mission, if we want to save our customers money, that shouldn't be limited. We should be able to do that across the board. So it's important that we do extend ourselves to new areas, new opportunities, while also embracing things like how people interact with apps nowadays. They do tend to engage more with stories and things like that. So there have been two of the things that I would call out from our perspective.
Love it. Right, we got some questions. So if you don't mind, I'm going to just bring our audience back in with us so we're not just speaking in a monologue. We have a question for Kiki, which is, what CPC networks do you use, Kiki, if you use any at all?
We use as many as we can is kind of the answer, because we are within Nucleus links. We have onboarded basically as many as possible.
Yeah.
So the answer is as many as possible. There's kind of, as opposed to when you're managing the system yourself, we, back before we had Nucleus links, we, were mostly working with affiliate networks, and the CPC budgets are so variable. So, SitePlug might give you a budget for a month and then suddenly it's gone. And we couldn't deal with that in our own system. So that is kind of the biggest advantage. And there's sort of, aside from annoying the hell out of your finance team who has to go in and collect all the money, having as many CPC networks on your platform as possible, like there's no disadvantage to that, except for you have to convince your finance team to download a lot of small checks.
Okay, pick my postcode. I hope that that's answered your question. Thank you for popping that in. Just remember, guys, if you're on LinkedIn, you can come and join us on the YouTube chat to have your questions answered. So just giving you a little reminder. And also, if you just missed the QR code that's just come off your screen, we'll have it again up on screen at the end of this webinar. So if you've got any questions, just pop them into the YouTube chat and we'll gladly bring them up for our guests and experts today.
We've been talking about what you've been doing, what's worked super well, where you've pivoted. Let's change the lens a bit and look forward. Again, it's just the four of us for now. What's on your roadmap? What are you excited about for the coming 6 to 12 months? Kiki?
Yeah, I think we're really excited. I mean, I know I mentioned that, we are investing more in loyalty. I think we're really excited about some of the other loyalty initiatives that aren't necessarily newsletters or our site itself that we're working on. We're working on, saving products and sending users alerts on those products. We have been doing experiments with other kinds of alerting features and bringing some of the strategies. I mean, the great thing is we test something out on one of our sites. It works well. We bring it on to all of the other sites. So we're just working on expanding some strategies that we've seen actually work.
Great.
And then also, I mean, I think that as users start to pivot to using chatbots, we're excited about experimenting with that on our sites. So yeah, and I think that this is kind of behind the scenes, but I think that there's a lot of really cool stuff that we're doing with AI to connect all of our data sources. Because affiliate data is so messy. So
fragmented.
It's like, wow, you think that after years of some of these companies being in business, they would have figured this out, but no. So yeah, we're just excited about kind of using.
Very excited about our collaboration on that data part. One follow-up question, because I know it's on a lot of people's minds: how do we bring that new user logic of actually smart chatbots onto our owned and operated properties? Do you have a thesis there yet? Will it be prompting users with a question related to the content they're reading? Will it be an open-ended chat prompt? What might this look like when you go ahead and implement it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. So we do use, we did a little experiment kind of in the early days of what we call the gift scout on our site. So it's really it only works when you're looking for a gift, obviously, and it is looking at it's taking all of our content. You give it a prompt like the best gift for a cactus lover, and it will spit out products that we recommend for cactus lovers. So we're kind of working to iterate on that sort of experience.
Awesome. Mike, what roadmap item are you most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, we're very much looking at our app and continued developments that have been taking place there. We're very excited with some of the results we've seen so far. So there'll be more sort of testing and learning within our app, and also with our browser extension as well. So they're two areas, and that's Deal Finder. So they're two areas that we're really interested in continuing our work with. The data piece is key. I think this is top of everyone's mind at the moment in terms of, as I mentioned earlier, how you serve content to your users. You need as much data as you can possibly get your hands on, really, in order to make sure that you are aligning priorities, not only with the retailers, but also with your customers. So that's a really big one for us to have a look at.
Great. Can also share one sneak peek from our roadmap at Nucleus Links. We actually just closed an M&A transaction in France, Aphilis, FFZ, whom we've been encountering in the marketplace for the last year or so. And we spoke about experiments earlier. We've been experimenting building our own shoppable widgets, AI-driven widgets, automated price comparison, and just without any envy had to concede that this team in France has done it much better, worked with practically every French publisher, but haven't expanded beyond France. So very excited to bring shoppable widget price comparison and incredibly powerful product feed technology behind it to the market in the next 6 months. So you'll be hearing more from us on that experiment plus roadmap item.
Fantastic. All right, guys, we are going to be wrapping this up because we've come to the end of our power hour with you today to help you earn more revenue with your affiliate business. And I think we've dropped quite a few proven tactics. We've had some wonderful questions coming in from the audience. I just want to remind you all, if you are a publisher and you are looking to level up your business and earn more money, scan the QR code on your screen now and get a free trial of Nucleus Links. I think what I love the most about everything that you guys have shared today is the fact that you really are putting your money where your mouth is. You're testing all of these things. You're building really great experiences for your users. You're plugging in the right tools and technology at the right time to actually enhance that experience. And you're not leaving any money on the table, which is the message that Michael left us with today, which I think is beautiful. If you don't want to leave any money on the table, scan the QR code. DM me with links. The first 10 people that do it are going to get free access to the analytics dashboard for a year. So there really is no excuse. Nucleus Links is really out there helping publishers just like Vox Media and VoucherCodes to grow their business and level up and not leave any money on the table. So it has been my pleasure to host you guys here today, to bring you to the Affiverse audience. For you guys listening, it's been our pleasure to answer questions and to really just connect with you in our community. We really love doing these live events. If you've got any questions, you can DM all of us. I mean, we're all on LinkedIn. We're all in the community and online. I can't see any other questions coming in right now, so you've kind of missed your chance if you wanted to ask them. But you can DM and contact any of us. We've still got about 20 odd people. Matteo, thank you for the thumbs up. We loved spending time with you today as well. It's really been a pleasure. So thank you so much for coming on this webinar with me. Cornelius, you've done a fantastic job moderating all of our guests today, and really just a pleasure to be here with you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you, Kiki and Michael.
Brilliant. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, we'll see you again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.